but it was not a lot of me doing the deep dive into who I am. So even as it pertained to dating growing up, you have relationships and all, but you don't have the wherewithal to understand, is this person in alignment with who I am? Are we equally yoked, so to speak? And again, this is another example of how something reared its ugly head. So I had a romantic relationship with somebody going into my senior year in college, and that relationship lasted about a year, year and a half. But all throughout that relationship, there were examples in which there was complete misalignment. But for me, a person who's never done the deep dive into who I was, I either didn't have the self-awareness enough, or I was not paying attention to a lot of the indicators enough to realize that this was not going anywhere fast. And so after graduation from college, I got a job in Atlanta. It didn't work out too well. Long story short, I ended up having to move from Atlanta to Tennessee. And when I moved from Atlanta to Tennessee after college, I was still in that relationship, but the distance that was now in the relationship caused a humongous fracture. And it led to a whole lot of turmoil and a lot of things that really basically challenged me on a very deep level, right? It was a situation where, I'm not going to go into specifics or details on what actually happened, but it was some very traumatic situations that, were very much life threatening, and it just wasn't a good look. But going back to it, in the very beginning, there was not alignment. And so by me not being aligned with that person and not having the wherewithal to make the proper adjustments, up front, it led to a lot of heartache, a lot of trauma, a lot of drama, and a lot of issues that, long story short, I'm thankful to still be here. Okay. I'll leave it at that. But again, as I mentioned earlier, pieces to the puzzle, going through that drama and trauma of that relationship was something that kind of helped to inform me. And not knowing that I would ultimately become a peak performance or personal development coach 20 years later, it gives me the wherewithal and the ability to connect with individuals who might be going through challenging circumstances as it pertains to relationships. You know what I'm saying? And I'm not a relationship therapist. I'm not a therapist. I've had to go through therapy, at times, which is a good thing. I had a guy, actually, he's a mentor of mine. His name is Sean Dove. One of the things that he mentions is if you don't have a therapist, a coach, and a mentor, you're going to struggle leading at the highest levels. And I fully believe that. Okay. But I said all that to say misalignment led to that particular relationship drama.